is the worst form of evil in the world.
Do you feel that you need to trade child support and not get any money from him because you don't want him to be around the children?
I would like to terminate his rights.
Well, I'm not even going to tempt him with that. Court costs are waived. I don't want to be poking at that tiger. I don't want him thinking that she was the perpetrator of anything.
I have a warrant out for my arrest.
The father and alleged father, Marlin Washington, is not present. The court takes judicial notice of the contents of the court's file and notes that the citation and the petition to establish a parent-child relationship and petition in suit affecting parent-child relationship with an acknowledgement of paternity were served on Marlin Washington at an address in Lancaster, so we are going to proceed in default against him. Ms. Vetta, raise your right hand, please. Full truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God.
Yes.
The evidence will show that we had scheduled Mr. Washington for DNA testing on 4 different occasions, and we'll be offering into evidence a statement to that effect from the diagnostic center. And then also that it appears that he refused DNA testing last year when he was incarcerated in Dallas County. So based on that and the testimony we'll be submitting, we're asking the court to enter a default on the paternity issue as to the child Mariah, and then to determine Mr. Washington's status and whether he should be paying child support and medical support going forward. I think that Ms. Vetta, based on her relationship or interaction with him, is going to be asking that he have no contact with the children, and she'll put on some testimony as to why she's making that request. The state calls Megan Vetta to the witness stand there, and you are the mother of the 3 children in this case, Aspen, Mariah, and Almond. Aspen and Almond were subject of an acknowledgement of paternity signed by Mr. Washington, or two AOPs signed. Have you ever been married to anyone?
No.
At the time Mariah was conceived, were you and Mr. Washington in the state of Texas?
Yes.
Let me ask you this. Were you sexually involved with any other man at the time Mariah could have been conceived?
No.
Are you certain in your mind that Marlin Ray Washington is Mariah's biological father?
Yes.
And to your knowledge, he has one other biological child. Is that correct?
Yes.
What health insurance do your children have now?
They are supposed to be getting Medicaid. I just reapplied for it, so it should be happening in the next month.
If your address or phone number were possibly included in this paperwork, would that subject you to harm or abuse from Mr. Washington?
Yes.
Without going into too much detail, can you tell the court at one time he was basically holding you hostage in a residence? Is that correct?
Yes. Actually, that happened on 3 different accounts. Whenever I was pregnant with Mariah, I got pregnant, but happened like 3 weeks in, and he boarded up all the doors, boarded up the windows. I wasn't able to leave. He always had a family member there, so I couldn't leave. No lights on, nothing like that. And then later on, after I left and went to Arizona, had my child, he came back to Arizona, made me come back with him to Texas, where the same thing happened on multiple different occasions,
Now,
including the house in Lancaster.
Your Honor, I'll offer what I asked to be marked as states number 1, the confirmation of non-collection from the DNA Diagnostic Center.
I'll mark it as Exhibit 1, but it's not dealing with Mr. Washington. It's dealing with Miss Vetta and Mariah.
That may have been my mistake, Your Honor. I apologize. So we'll go ahead and mark that if you don't mind. But we weren't able to, I guess, get DNA testing for him. I'm reading that. I must have missed that.
Okay. Ms. Vetta, do you have, what I have in my hand is basically an affidavit from the DNA Diagnostics Center, which is the laboratory the state uses to do DNA testing. This letter says that they attempted to schedule you and Mariah for testing on February 22nd, 23, March 15th, 23, April 6th, 23, and May 10th, 23, but that you and Mariah, neither you nor Mariah appeared on any of those dates. Do you have any legal reason why this should not, or the court should not consider this affidavit?
I went and did the DNA test.
Okay, that wasn't my question. My
Oh,
question is, do you know of any legal reason why the court should not consider this affidavit?
I don't know what that is.
Well, you've chosen to be here and to represent yourself, and you are bound by the
Mhm.
same legal rules as Mr. Steinke is. So, if you cannot, put together or voice a legal objection to the court looking at this, then the court's going to admit it.
Your Honor, I'll just withdraw my request that it be admitted. As the court has pointed out, it's not really directed towards Mr. Washington, it's more Ms. Vetta, and she has gone to testing since then, so it's not really relevant.
Okay, so you're withdrawing the exhibit?
Yes, I will, Your Honor.
Okay, very good then. It's withdrawn.
So, Your Honor, instead I will offer what I asked to be marked as states number 1 is the DNA specimen collection refusal form that was from April of 23 involving Mr. Washington when he was incarcerated at the time.
Okay, this court will mark that as states exhibit 1. I would point out that on the front page, it says I, and there's a long blank. It says, I'm hereby refusing to consent to a DNA specimen collection be used for DNA parentage testing. Mr. Washington to sign that sheet, just the person from the lab signed it, but it doesn't identify who was refusing.
Yes, I know, Your Honor, that may be of limited value. That was the non-collection statement that we got back. Mr. Washington was in jail at the time of this for charged with aggravated sexual assault of a child. He had two charges for that, I believe. That was not involving the children in this case. Is that correct?
No, I have no idea who the children were.
Okay. Has he ever seen, when's the last time he saw your 3 children?
Right before he went to jail.
And how long ago was that?
That was last Christmas. They went and visited for last Christmas, and then he signed for all of them for his taxes, so he could get all the money for the taxes while I was watching them. And right after that, he went to jail.
And when you say last Christmas, do you mean a month ago?
No, the Christmas before that, 2022, I guess.
Okay. So has it been at least a year since he
Yes.
has seen the children?
Yes.
Does he know how to get in touch with you?
No, he knows where my grandmother lives. My mom moved, so she would be away from him. My grandma lives very, very far away, but he has no contact with me, no phone numbers. I don't communicate with any of his family members. I don't display any of my children in front of my houses, or I don't take any pictures of my kids in front of houses, in front of their schools, anything like that, as for their protection.
You mentioned about him essentially keeping you in a location where you weren't free to travel about. Has he been physically harmful to you in any other ways?
He was extremely, extremely, extremely abusive in every single way.
And I don't want to diminish anything, but did you ever have to seek medical care for any of those incidents?
Yeah. And CPS was called multiple times with pictures of the marks from extension cords. And he broke one of my feet with a screwdriver multiple different occasions.
And
police were called multiple times.
Okay. Was he ever charged with any of these incidents?
No, he was not.
But you had made police reports, is that correct?
Yeah.
Are you concerned for your safety if he knew where you lived?
Yeah.
Is there any way that you can think of to assist the court in coming up with a visitation schedule, either electronic or telephone or anything like that, that you could make the children available if he wanted to communicate with them?
The best I could do is through a phone call, but I don't feel comfortable with them talking to their father. He is the worst form of evil in the world, and he should not be granted any access towards them at all. And if he does, he probably will come and try to take them in a very violent manner.
Has he kept the children from you before?
No. Well, yes, he has taken the kids and then not let me have them, but it doesn't last very long because he is borderline schizophrenic, so he has a lot of trouble being around children.
How did you get the children back on that occasion?
The police were called and eventually he let the children go.
Now, do you know where he is now?
My best guess from last time I spoke to someone who knew him said that he lived that he was in Louisiana in jail there, and they were waiting on They were waiting on a parent to sign him out or something like that.
Do you think there's any way you and he can talk with each other about how to raise the children?
No.
What health insurance do they have?
Right now they will have Medicaid.
Are you asking the court to consider if there should be any back child support?
I don't want any child support from him. I have enough money. I make enough money that I don't have to worry about my kids, and I will continue to make enough money to pay for all my kids.
So if the court orders him to pay something to the state for medical support, would you still be okay if the court did not order him to pay you something for child support?
That would be fine as long as he has no access to my children.
And let me ask you a difficult question. Do you feel that you need to trade child support and not get any money from him because you don't want him to be around the children?
No, that is not the reason. He did his job and made my children, and he doesn't need to feel like he is giving me anything because at this point I've got it myself. I don't want anything from him at all.
You said when I talked to you earlier, you thought that he had been convicted of the sexual assault charge. Are you aware of that?
Yes, I knew that he was convicted of the sexual assault charge.
What did he receive for that?
He only got 5 years probation. He did not get any jail time for it. He also had a homicide and a drug charges.
Do you know whatever happened with those?
The homicide, he was smoking marijuana while driving a 18-wheeler without a CDL and crashed and killed a family. So,
is there an active CPS investigation involving you or the children now?
yes.
And what is the status of that?
It is going to be dropped next week as soon as I finish my counseling, which is one more day.
So during the time you've been involved with CPS, have they ever removed the children from you?
No, never.
What did they want you to do? What services, as they say, what services did you have to work or do?
I only had to do counseling. They only wanted me to do counseling. And then someone had called after I had a very traumatic postpartum, not, I don't know what it's called. After PTSD, I had a really bad PTSD, panic attack after a car accident. And someone had called in, but they just made me do counseling, and they helped me out with daycare and stuff like that so I could get to work and make money for my kids. So now I have free daycare for my kids, and they helped me do all my paperwork so I could get food stamps. So they basically just wanted to help me get onto stable feet because I just wasn't there yet by myself.
Now, why do you think that they're going to stop their involvement next week?
They told me they're going to continue on with the daycare and everything like that. And they're going to but they told me that they're dropping the case. I just had to finish a couple sessions of counseling.
Has there ever been a court order from CPS involving these children?
What do you mean?
Have you ever had to go to court before a judge
no.
in person or on Zoom to talk about the children with CPS?
No, they just wanted to keep them away from him because he was a very dangerous person.
So there was never a CPS, a lawsuit filed?
No.
Anything to terminate or whatever his rights?
No, I would like to terminate his rights. I don't know if that's possible, but I would love to.
Well, that's not what we do here. So
okay,
not something that's available in this particular lawsuit.
Okay.
Those are all the questions I have, Your Honor. Regarding support, the state's requesting there be something set at least minimum wage.
First, with regard to Mariah, the court is finding that Mr. Washington is the father of Mariah. The court is establishing the parent-child relationship. The court, based on his history and the history with the mother's more than reasonable concern about what might happen if he's in contact or knows where she is. I believe she testified that I know he was arrested in February of 2023. That's when he was booked into the Dallas County Jail. February 9th, 2023, he was booked into the Dallas County Jail. And Ms. Vetta testified that, so far as she knows, he's in jail in Louisiana. So based on that and her more than reasonable concern or fear for her safety and the life and the safety of her children, the court is ordering that there's no contact between Mr. Washington and the children, or Ms. Vetta for that matter. Child support is being set at $0. Medical support is being set at 0. The children are being ordered onto a government plan. There's no retroactive support. Non-disclosure is granted. The court finds that Ms. Vetta has a reasonable fear or concern that if her contact information is included in the order, she or the children might suffer harassment, abuse, serious harm, or possible injury. And then I'm not even going to tempt him with that. Court costs are waived. I think that under these circumstances and given the history between the parties, no, I don't want to be poking at that tiger. And I don't want to create a situation where Ms. Vetta might, and the children might wind up having a bad experience. So
Thank you.
anyway, that's where it is, Mr. Steinke. If you'll go ahead and prepare that order and submit it, or send it to Ms. Vetta to review.
Yes.
And I don't even need her signature on it, frankly. I don't, in the event that he gets a hold of it and sees it, I don't want him thinking that she was the
Okay.
perpetrator of anything.
I will send her a courtesy copy of it anyway and not request her signature. Is it sole conservatorship? Does he have any possessory status or how does that go?
Well, I said she's a sole managing conservator, and I guess I named him possessory conservator, but frankly, as I think about that, I really don't want him to have any rights, any conservatorship or any duties or rights or duties to these children.
Okay.
So just name her sole managing conservator and say he's not, just leave it blank. He's not named anything. And then the visitation is no contact.
Okay. All right. I'll prepare that and I'll be sending that to Ms. Vetta.
Thank you so much. I appreciate y'all.
We, unless there's something else, we're off the record.
Oh, I have one more thing. I have a warrant out for my arrest because of the DNA, because I did not show up for those DNA things, and I was hoping that I could get it removed now that I've done the DNA test and finished with court.
Let me look and see. Is there a writ of attachment out there, Mr.?
I don't know that it was a writ of attachment, Your Honor. It may have been a capias on the motion to enforce DNA, possibly.
Okay,
I'm not sure, 100% sure, but.
No, there is a writ of attachment.
Okay, we'll withdraw the writ of attachment.
Okay, let me get you the particulars about that. It was August 22nd, 2023, an order for issuance of an amended attachment. If you could do an order withdrawing that, and then send that to Ms. Vetta so that she'll have it. And in the event she gets stopped or something before it hits TCIC, she can show that to the police officers and hopefully avoid going to jail. Unless you have other charges hanging out there.
I have no charges.
My business.
Okay.
All right, very good. Then that's where we are. And we are off the record. Good luck to you, ma'am.
Right. Ma'am, you can
Thank you.
disconnect.
And all I'm asking is a leeway on the back child support, since I didn't get any child support for 5 years. Is there anything I could do on that end?
The
When
system did not fail. The system works really well. But
really?